Hello everybody, welcome to Kendo Tips. My name is Jose. I am a golden in Kendo and today we're going to be watching Kendo videos, talking about Kendo, and hopefully having a good time learning something new. So again, welcome to the stream. Let me know if you're here. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, but let me tell you the plan for today. Today we're going to be watching a couple of 7-dan videos. One to finish this year's 7-dan tournament, two other interesting videos that I found, and one user review. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Before I keep going, before I go further into this, I noticed that my chat is not live, so I'm gonna take it off. Okay, I'm gonna take it off because the reason for that is because I have another stream set up for tomorrow. I'm having a guest that she's a sports psychologist and she also does Kendo. So she's gonna be here sharing her knowledge in Kendo and sports psychology and how can we use sports psychology to improve our Kendo performance and just overall our daily activities. So hopefully you guys have a good time with that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share that link here. That way, if you guys could, at some point, go and set up a reminder. It's gonna be my time tomorrow at 1 p.m. And I'm very excited for this stream. The reason for that is because some of you guys may know my field of study has been music therapy, and I'm also a health coach, and I work in the field of addiction treatment, and I believe that a lot of the things that are being discovered or being practiced for sports psychology has a lot of impact in what we do in a day-to-day life, especially for us in Kendo. So I'm very excited to kind of like pick her brain and get a lot of her knowledge to share with us. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna share this stream right here, and I'm gonna catch up with the comments in a second. By the way, so let me know how the... Okay. Okay. Let me catch up a little bit with the comments. First, Contreras Censo, saludos de Brasil. Espero que vaya a entrenar a San Bernardo de Campo, donde creó el WKC del 2008. Gracias por todas las enseñanzas. Eder, gracias por pasar por aquí. Sería un placer. Nunca he estado en Brasil, so I would love to go to Brazil. I haven't practiced there at all. So I know, like most of my Brazilian friends that I met is through the CLAC. So it'll be kind of cool to get to see people. Also, hold on, give me 1 second, guys, because I should have done something early on. 1 second, guys, sorry. Arce, hello. Thank you very much for passing by. Rice, good morning. Thank you for passing by. How are you doing? Mundo del Ego, buenos días desde Venezuela. Un saludo, de verdad. Espero poder organizarme y hacer más contenido en español. Así tengo otras personas a las cuales puedo pasar lo que estoy aprendiendo con este canal y con todos mis amigos que he hecho gracias a este canal. Así que, bueno, cualquier ayuda que pueda dar, por favor, déjenme saber. Guys, let me ask you a question. Is everything smooth in the stream? I hope everything is okay. Everything's good. I'm getting a couple of warnings here, but they've been going away. I still have full functionality of my volume, so please, if you have any problems with the volumes, let me know. And if anything's lagging. Guys, no, it's not Spanish today. We just have a couple of Spanish people today. So I'm trying to go back and forth between Spanish and English. It's always hard. Es difícil hacer el stream en dos idiomas. Así que las personas que están aquí en español, por favor, si necesitan ayuda, déjenme saber, interrúmpanme, no tengan miedo porque se me hace difícil a veces. When you say snappy, what does that mean? Hold on, because... Yeah, I'm getting a lot of errors from YouTube, so I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a little bit thrown off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hide the screen, and I'm just gonna leave it on the part on the comments. Okay. And hopefully that will be good. Okay, so you know what? Let's just get into it. Eder, oh, Kojima Sensei. I haven't seen him in a long time. No lo he visto hace un tiempo. Espero poder visitarlos y practicar con Kojima Sensei. Okay, guys. Oh, it's lagging. It's lagging. Oh, man, yeah, like I don't understand what's happening. My connection is perfect, but for some reason something is happening, and let me see if I can find a way to like reboot it or something. Like for example, for me, my screen, it says that I don't have any more. Yeah, like it says that it's sending. Okay. Let me see. Are you guys seeing? Okay, yeah, you guys are seeing my second screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to just play the videos. Let me know how it goes, because you know I kind of don't want to just hold people back. This becomes really boring if you know, if it goes like this. It cuts off every now and then. That sucks, guys. I'm so sorry. I really am. Let me see. Okay, and now I cannot see the video window that I want to show you. Okay. So, okay, guys, please let me know if it's annoying enough. I can probably try and like cut off the stream and cut off the program and reboot it before YouTube realizes that it's gone. I normally don't like to do that because a lot of times it just cuts off the stream. So if we can avoid it, that'll be good. But I'm so sorry, guys. This is actually a good thing that is happening right now, because tomorrow I don't want this to happen. And what I will do is probably I'll go like on a live stream, I'll list it for a little while just to test run some things. Anyways, this is the final match from this year's 7th All Japan. My focus for the past 2 or 3 streams when I've been using these videos has been mostly on how to approach the opponent. What can we do in order to make openings to successfully strike? It is my personal belief that, okay, we can practice and focus on the striking moment, especially at the dojo, but for me, a technique is not just the moment of striking. It's also what can we do in order to make the opening so that way that technique is available for us to strike. Some of the things, sometimes, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with the concept of tokuiwaza, right? With your best technique or your favorite technique. And for me, a lot of the times, my favorite or somebody's favorite technique is not just about their ability to strike it, but also to make the proper opportunity to make that technique happen. So some of the things that people might do, for example, if their technique, and this is a very rough example, if your technique is man, maybe you want to also learn how to do throwaway kotes to put the focus on the kote so then you can do a man. These are kind of like some basic concepts, not something that you may want to take to, you know, like a more advanced level, but just to start giving the idea. So for me, your ability to score a technique is not just how good can you strike this technique, but also what can you do to make the opening in order to have the opportunity to have that technique. So that will be the focus for today. José, saludos. Estamos hablando hoy un poquito de hacer aperturas para poder ejecutar técnicas, y vamos a ver un torneo de séptimo dan de este año de Japón. Okay, it's not unbearable. That's perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for giving your feedback. I have a screen. Yeah, I see it. I open a screen next to. Okay, I'm gonna play the videos, guys. Like for me, the biggest part is going to be that the display of the matches. If it's unbearable, please let me know. Okay, I'll try to do something. Okay, as I always mention, I always like to look at the sonkyo of a fight. So when you have competitors that are at this level, it's really hard to kind of have a place where your eyes are going to be. So a lot of the times it tends to happen where people go where they already know. So Uchimura is on the right. And again, he is a very famous and successful, sorry, let me just close this. A very famous and successful competitor. So I'm sure that for many people, you're going to be watching his kendo. But let's see what happens throughout the match if your attention deviates from one to another. I would love to know that in the comments. Well, that was interesting. That was effortless. That was effortless. Okay, let me just break this down a little bit. Why is this? Why was this possible? ¿Por qué esto fue posible? ¿Por qué fue posible que pudiera hacer un kote tan relajadamente? Okay, so the main thing that I'm seeing from Red is the use of the small steps, right? If you look at how he's moving, he's going forward and going back, going forward, going back, very small. What this does to me is that it allows for engagement of the legs immediately after a little bit of movement. So maybe at this point he's using the movement to try to see what type of reaction he's going to get, but also to stay safe within the distance. By having both feet engaged at all times, it's making it possible for him to react accordingly or to improve his defense beyond just the movement of his arms. So as Uchimura comes in, which I think, by the way, he's coming in with a very confident approach. I really, I value this type of approach a lot because he's confident. He's coming in with the ability of executing multiple techniques. And at the same time, Red is picking his time, not overreacting. One thing that I believe possible when you have confident footwork is that you are able to react properly. You don't overreact as much. So this strike, I believe it's so relaxed because he has been engaged with the footwork prior to Uchimura's commitment. Also, I'm going to point out the understanding of distance. Look where the Fumikomi is. Look where his body is in relationship to the moment when he decides to make the technique. It's pretty much in place. But immediately after Zanshin, what is Zanshin? Making sure that he has that connection with his opponent. So he decides to go forward in order to stay safe, right? So immediately after the impact, engaging the back leg to go forward and keep himself, keep his opponent in check. So if we watch it again from the very beginning, real speed, look at the use of the footwork. Let me say quickly in Spanish. Lo que estoy hablando aquí específicamente con la parte del trabajo de piernas es el uso efectivo de las piernas en pasos cortos. No está pasando que están haciendo pasos largos. El Fumikomi lo hace en el lugar, pero en el mismo lugar después que hace el Fumikomi avanza para mantenerse seguro y no dejar una oportunidad al oponente de poder atacar. Okay. Guys, how's the video going? again, look at the engagement of the footwork right after. Uchimura's coming in, and Red is not holding back. He's not going backwards. He always has this forward mentality. So he's not playing defensive, right? So now, obviously, this is going to start affecting the approach of Uchimura. Uchimura at least knows that he has plenty of time. Ooh. Wow. Okay, so very interesting approach in the sense of, guys, I know we hear the whole thing about Hikiwasa being gone, and I think every time that I see this, it always reminds me that Hikiwasa is very much present. I think that there's this misconception that Hikiwasa cannot be performed now, that Tsuba Serie is limited. But even though the Tsuba Serie is limited, the execution of Hikiwasa in a lot of cases doesn't even need Tayatari, doesn't even need Tsuba Serie. It's just the readiness to be able to hit in the right opportunity and take the proper distance, right? So this is very, very important to keep in mind in order for us to progress our kendo. Do not limit your development from or your ability to, how do I say this? Yeah, do not cut off part of your repertoire just because there has been adjustment on Tsuba Serie and Tayatari. You should still be practicing Hikiwasa, finding the right distance, finding the right moment, finding the right body position in order to execute it effectively. José aprovechó la confianza de su oponente y ajustó su distancia. Ahorita lo voy a poner en cámara lenta. Ajustó su distancia para que al momento que Uchimura o la persona que está en blanco falle el golpe, él pudo aprovechar ese momento para tener la distancia correcta y atacar yendo hacia atrás. Okay, let me catch up with a little bit of the comments. Ours is saying it's not cutting off anymore. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Even though I still get the warnings and a lot of my stuff are still broken over here. But thank you. That's awesome. Discipline. Ushimura wasted time. Looks like he was going to check Sakai's hands before hitting men. Sakai had better timing for kote. You're talking about the first Ippon, maybe? Okay, I can go back to that, but I didn't see that too much. Galaxy, ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you for passing by. Please say hello. I believe you practice with Register Sensei, right? So if you see him today, please say hello from my part. I believe it was his birthday too this week, right? So please, I sent him a message, but happy birthday again. José aprovechó la intención de apertura hacia por parte de su oponente. Correcto. Ours, amazing distance management. Yes. And this is the big point on this. Okay. One more time. So, guys, as you guys know, Tsuki requires closing the distance much more, right? So it's also a point where his opponent is very confident. His footwork is very good. look at Red's footwork and how he moves forward sharply, small, with forward intention, even when he takes a step back. Look what happens even when he takes a step back. It looks like he has a forward intention. I have no doubt that Red would have been able to go forward if he wanted to. But obviously, because of the distance, because of the timing, and because of the momentum that Uchimura had towards him, he was able to come back and hit it. So, discipline, you're saying the Japanism talks about changing their mask rules in March. You wonder if the Shimpan rule book will change by summer. So does that mean that they are thinking about implementing the masks permanently? Is that what you're talking about? Or vice versa? Or they're talking about removing the mask and continue Kendo without masks? Please clarify a little bit. So this Ippon, it's very, very interesting. One thing that I, as a matter of fact, I was discussing this at the dojo this past week, this past couple of practices, hold on, is controlling your opponent's shinai without leaving the center. How do you do this? You cut on the shinai rather than push it sideways. Where are my little shinais? If you want to control your opponent, you don't want to just control your opponent, but you want to also be safe, even if you fail to control your opponent. So for example, if this is me, and I am, let me maybe go in here. If this is me, and I am trying to control my opponent, I cannot go sideways. Why? Because I guess I could, and I could probably try to control my opponent, but if I fail because my opponent adapts to it, I am wide open for my opponent to either take control and strike or just strike. So instead, what I prefer to do, or what I try to do, is that I try to cut on the shinai, like try to cut into it forward, trying to keep my tip towards my opponent rather than move it out of the center. And for me, this works in the same concept to do like harai or suriage, and even for kaeshi. Many people like to receive kaeshi like this. When they feel scared, people receive kaeshi like this to then hit out towards the opponent. I tend to try to throw my hands forward and receive forward rather than back. So I think that Red here is doing such a good job at holding the opponent's shinai, because as he approaches him, first he tries to keep the distance. When Uchimura creates momentum, he tries to grab the shinai, but even he fails, he has that forward intention towards the opponent, making it possible for him to be ready and even catch the shinai as Uchimura is bringing the shinai up. But then he's also ready to execute the technique right after. Does that make sense? I was gonna say, and there's one more thing that you want to keep in mind when you're holding your opponent's shinai, where you're trying to hold your opponent's shinai. I actually was thinking about making a video on this. Maybe I'll make a long form to explain a little bit better the motions. But what you want to avoid is that you want to avoid taking control or knocking your opponent's shinai at the tip. You want to come in a little bit deeper. This is you. You want to come in a little bit deeper in order to create good motion. Now, you don't want to go too deep for a couple reasons. One, because the time that it takes you to get there, it might be the time that your opponent might take to hit you or to strike you in any technique, right? So this is one. The other one is because it's harder to move the hands once you get closer to the tsuba. But this, for me, right here, this is the sweet spot to control the opponent's shinai and still have the ability to come in for a technique, have the space in case your opponent adapts, you can adapt as well. So keep this in mind. Try and notice, how do you do it in practice? Yeah, if you can analyze that and let me know down in the comments how is it that you do it and how it compares to what I'm doing today here. That will be interesting, for everybody to learn and to support each other from everybody's knowledge. Guys, you say in Korea mask mandates have been removed, at least in amateur shiais. Okay, that's cool. And discipline, you saying relaxing the mask rules in Japan. Yeah, I think this is about time, right? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for what my friends have talked to me about, that a lot of the sports have already done this. So Kendo, I think, is one of the few that still has this mandate for the performing of the sport. But again, I'm not in Japan right now, so I couldn't tell you that. I was gonna say one more thing. Okay, let's go back to the first Ippon real quick to check what discipline was talking about. Okay. So you said that Uchimura wasted time looking at the kote. Looks like he was going to check Sakai's hands before hitting. Oh, checking. So I'm guessing like checking with the shinai, right? Let's see. I feel that he tried to make an opening. I don't necessarily think that he was trying to get control of their shinai. I think he was approaching him and trying to maybe either do like a kotemen, maybe trying to check his shinai, like catch his shinai. But what I feel that made it possible for Red to get the ippon, it's the adjustment and the engagement of the footwork, because he was able to get out of his trap, adjust the distance, and then immediately attack. So, of course, yeah, I believe that Uchimura, I don't think Uchimura approached him wrong. I just think that his opponent was much more aware or much more engaged. So at this level, just little details can make it, or little mistakes can make it a big problem, right? Okay, guys, I do have one viewer submission. I'm going to say, if anybody would like to send me a video for me to review, I think the best way to do so is contacting me through Discord, the Discord server, which is completely free. It's going to show up in the comments in a second. This way you can send them to me. We can talk about what is it specifically that you're looking for, or maybe something that you want me to pay attention to, and I can share my thoughts and we can break down and all learn from this. Okay. The user that submitted this tells me that he wants to improve his footwork. Feels like he's jumping too much, being too jumpy during Shiai, and he also wants to improve his strike. So this is going to be some of the main points that I want to look at, but also he wants me to give some general thoughts. Let me make sure that I am on the right. Hold on, guys. Okay. Also gonna say, yeah, if you guys would like to join the Discord server, it's completely free. You can pass by and contact me there. That's one of the best ways for you to send me your videos, and also a good way for you guys to meet up with new people that also do Kendo. Okay, so again, one thing that I always like to do is to look at the sonkyo, the beginning part of the engagement. Let me go back a little bit more. So this last step seems a little bit too long. It's not a little bit too long, it's very long. And what I like to do, if you guys can see, maybe on the left side, you can see a little bit like the blurry of the line of where you start the line of the court. So if you feel, I think it's okay that if you feel that you need to be a little bit deeper in, instead of being so close to the line, this is okay. But you also want to manage your distance so you look confident as you walk forward. Because what this does to me is that maybe you're not paying attention or you're not confident. So manage your steps so that way you don't look that you're taking such a big steps. If you see the opponent, he looks a little bit more composed. Also, I feel that as you're coming in, you're going for your sword a little bit too quick, right? So you want to try to take maybe a step, and between the second and the third step, this is the moment where I start reaching out for my sword and I start drawing, because it also makes you look to the judges calm, and it makes you look like you're in control. Okay, as you're coming down, let's see that Sonkyo. So right now I feel already your upper body is moving forward, right? It's leaning forward slightly. You want to have a little bit more of a straighter posture as you go down, and it will help you have a much straighter Sonkyo at this point. Because at this point right now, it feels like you are kind of like, hunched, and it makes it, it takes away from the power you can produce, especially when going up. Let me catch up with a little bit of the comments, guys. Galaxy, you're saying, usually try to control Shinai more towards the tip, but you definitely need to try farther down since tip isn't super effective for you. So I don't think it's just not super effective for you. It's just not super effective at all, in my opinion. Because even if you get a good knock, let's say that you're knocking the Shinai out, by the time that you get to your target, your opponent can come back. But if you start approaching slightly and hit as you're approaching, your opponent has less time to react. That being said, you cannot think about just controlling the opponent's Shinai. You also have to think about engaging your legs. You should move your feet before you do this type of motions. That way you're in motion. You're in motion towards your opponent. Hope that makes sense. Galaxy, ok, José, para controlar el Shinai del oponente hay que hacer presión hacia abajo en vez de hacia un lado. Correcto. Disculpa que se me va todo en inglés. Y sabes que cualquier cosa me puedes contactar y aclaro cualquier duda. Pero, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to say quickly what I said earlier, but I'm going to say it in Spanish. Cuando tratas de controlar el Shinai de un oponente, lo mejor es no irse para un lado, porque si fallas en controlar el Shinai del oponente y la persona se sale de ese control, estás completamente abierto. Lo que yo trato de hacer es que en vez de empujar hacia un lado, trato como de cortar sobre el Shinai y tratar de tomar control por encima del Shinai. Pero no solamente eso, sino también en qué parte del Shinai. Si tratas de controlar la punta, es muy fácil que la persona se salga, o después de que se salga vuelva al centro antes de que tú llegues a hacer tu técnica. O también si tratas de controlar el Shinai muy adentro, el problema que tienes aquí es que es más difícil mover las manos, pero también el tiempo que te tomas en llegar aquí capaz sea el tiempo que tu oponente necesite para atacarte. Entonces, lo ideal para mí es tratar de controlar el oponente por el medio del Shinai, con la punta de mi Shinai, pero haciéndolo con las piernas avanzando. No lo quieres hacer nada más con las manos, sino que quieres hacerlo ya en movimiento con las piernas. Espero que aclare un poquito la duda. Okay. So, Galaxy, you're going to try it out at the SUSKF junior girls team for nationals. Oh, you're trying out for the junior team. Any advice? Let me ask you this first. How long do you have until your tryouts? Okay, let's keep going with this video while you answer that question. Okay, I am going to make a video specifically about this, but I'm gonna point out the fact that understanding when to use long step and short steps is crucial. So right now, you're gonna see that he's attacking from a standstill, no really an approach to kind of make it easier. So you're lunging from very far and makes it very predictable for the opponent. right? But by the time that you get there, it became something that your opponent can see and block. And this does two things. One, it starts teaching the timing to your opponent of how you attack. But number two, it also starts messing up with your confidence and your energy, because every time you go, you miss, then you feel that you're not doing good, and you start doubting yourself. So what you want to do, you want to find a good and explosive and comfortable position for you to launch, where you also start making the opponent feel that, oh, he almost got me, right? This is what you're trying to look for. Dragon in Town, thank you very much for passing by. What should you learn when you start Kendo? You mean at the beginning when you start going to the dojo, or doing something before you start going to a dojo? It's a little bit different answer for both. So please, maybe are you referring to what should you learn for the first months of practice, or something if you need to learn something before you go to the dojo the first time? If you can clarify with that for me, I will be glad and happy to answer that question. Okay, at this point, you gotta be careful with your Suba Serie. One thing that I like to do for Suba Serie, it's avoid being too close to my body with my hands. So what you want to do, you want to have a comfortable position on your hands and a good stable body. So if you need to go backwards quickly, you can do so. But also you have a little bit of distance between you and your opponent. And then you also want to avoid being in a position where you can get stuck with your opponent's shinai. So I would say this position right now, it's a little bit better than right here, okay? But I think your default position should be right here. Then from here, you can, control, attack backwards, and so on. It takes a little bit too long to engage in a technique when you're so close to your body. Dragon, I'm gonna call you Dragon if that's okay. You want to start, but you have no idea what to do. You have a boken. So what I'm going to say, I don't know what country you're in. What I recommend is try to find, as Galaxy says, find your closest dojo. If you would like to learn maybe the vocabulary of what things mean before you go to your first practice, that's okay. But the main thing, find a place, find somebody that can mentor you. So again, I don't know what country you're in, but if you would like, you can again join the Discord, message me there. I can try help you find the closest dojo that you might have in your area. Or I'm sure that maybe you will find somebody in your area in the Discord server. Maybe we're that big, hopefully. Galaxy, your tryouts in a couple of weeks to a month. Okay, so focus on what you are confident in. Practice building up your confidence. Tomorrow we're going to have another stream with a friend of mine who's a sports psychologist, and she might be able to give a little bit of insights on this. But for me, I don't like to change or add anything new right before a tournament. What you want to do is just do what you have taught your body to do, what to do. So just do your practice, try to get good impacts and good Ippons every time you do your Kihon. Feel what a good point feels like and try to visualize it. The other thing is visualize yourself in the match, even when you're practicing at the dojo, right? So that way you make everything the same. This is my method. So again, if you want to discuss a little bit, actually, you know what? Maybe I can. Okay, there's a feature here. Okay. There's a Q&A question. There's a Q&A section. Maybe I can experiment on using it, but let me see. What are your maybe I can use some other questions for tomorrow's stream. What are your questions about preparing for Shiai? Okay. And maybe I can if you guys answer some of that later, I can go and what's it called? Go through that section and answer some of those questions at once. So yeah, this is number one. Build up your confidence. This is my number one advice. Anyways, okay, enough rambling. Ours. So I don't think you're jumping too much. I think that maybe you are taking a little bit too long to re-engage your footwork after you take a step. I'll keep watching though. I don't think you're jumping too much. You're moving maybe. Normally the problem that somebody that moves a lot has is that before they attack, they stop. And if you notice, that's the pattern that is starting to emerge here. You start moving your body back and forth, but at some point you kind of, it's like you're moving like a boxer. At some point, then you stop and you're trying to like pounce like a tiger or something. You know that you're trying to pounce, and at this point you're kind of switching things up. So, but it's what that's doing is that you're letting the person know that you're about to attack, or you're trying to bait them into a technique. So my suggestion is that you want to be a little bit more engaged with your footwork by having less movement and making sure that your feet are doing the right thing. But at the same time, you also want to learn how to relax more in those moments and make it all look the same. So let's watch. So here you see you're moving back and forth a little bit. Now you stop, fully stop. And then you start moving again. You're not going to attack. Now you're thinking of attacking. And you see your opponent knows this now. And he does this thing of like this little fake fumikomi. He's trying to get you to react. That's sneaky. That's sneaky what he did. Yeah, you see a lot of movement back and forth. You were lucky there in the sense that it almost looked like your opponent had an opening. And let me see. Let's see. Okay, you go backwards, your opponent starts going forward and immediately throws the body. So you see your opponent creates motion before the commitment of attack. You are flat on your feet. You see, you're going backwards, you're flat on your feet. Your opponent is moving and then you move. So you're being reactive to your opponent. Ideally, in a perfect world, what you want to do is that you want to be the one starting the motion, making your opponent either hesitate or throw an attack when they shouldn't, which is pretty much what your opponent got you to do here. And as your opponent comes forward, you know, like you kind of didn't have the timing to catch up to it. Now, if you see this judge kind of already wants to raise the flag, I think one reason he might be in this state of mind is because he's seeing that your opponent is the one taking the initiative. Ars, you were asking about your impact. I think on this strike, listen, your motion, you're coming down very straight, very nicely. You're coming out with speed. It doesn't look like you're tensing up your hands too much after, which is very good. I think what messed up this impact is that you land the fumikomi. Oh wait, this is a little bit before. Okay, right here. You see, you land the fumikomi before you hit the men, and I actually talked about this in my last video, where you're hitting, you're hitting down with your shinai as your feet are pushing you up. So you're taking away from the impact of the sword, and also it kind of kills your momentum. So working a little bit of that synchronization will be ideal. One thing that I like to do at the dojo, it's just 2 exercises. I actually have a video on Fumikomi where you can see these exercises, but hitting the Fumikomi forward, very short, not too long, clapping at the same time, but you want to bring yourself up, kind of like almost trying to stand on your tippy toes, just so you understand what it looks like and what it feels like to breathe in good posture at the moment of impact without sinking. The other one is kind of being on the back foot. And again, I'll recommend you to watch the video because obviously I don't have the setup here to show it. But being on your back foot only, then hopping forward to land on your fumikomi, but immediately hopping back into the back foot. Just so you understand that you don't want to sink into your front leg. Instead, you want to use your front leg to pull you forward and to keep your good posture. Yeah, and if you can find the video, let me know and I'll send it to you through Discord next. Just remind me, please. Ok, José, la presión ejercida de suba sería similar a la que se ejerce sobre el shinai del oponente una vez iniciando el shinai. Es difícil. Durante suba serial lo que no quieres es empujar a la persona. Cuando tú empujas, no es para tú empujar a la persona, sino para tú empujarte y alejarte de la persona. Pero el enfoque no debe ser en ese empuje. Tiene que ser en hacer una apertura entendiendo la conexión con el oponente. Disculpen, sorry. This is interesting. Let me say it in English. Jose is asking about the pressure in Suba Seriai. And the way that I like to approach it is that many people like to push in the moment of Suba Seriai. But I don't like to push my opponent. If I need to push, is to push myself away from the opponent rather than pushing my opponent away. Why? Because then if I push my opponent, I get out of balance and then I waste my motion that my opponent can use that energy to counter me and hit me. So again, this is another video I need to make, but this is very, very crucial. Do not push. Do not focus on pushing your opponent. No te enfoques en empujar al oponente. Let me catch up a little bit with some of the comments. Greg, you're saying that you went to a trial in Atlanta, and he's saying the same thing that I said, right? Like, don't learn anything new. Yeah, just focus on what you have and what you know, and make it build up your confidence. So cool. I hope you guys get to see each other there. And maybe take a Kendo Tips picture, like Kendo Tips friends, something like this. I don't know, it's silly. Okay. Let's keep going with this. Again, Ars, I don't think you have a problem with your. Oh, this was great. This was great. I don't think you have a problem with your footwork. I think you understand what good footwork looks like. It's just that maybe the way you're approaching the use of the footwork might not be so effective. And again, you want to make everything the same so you avoid telling your opponent when you're going. This right here, okay. Your reaction, I think, is on point here. Your opponent is the one. First of all, you guys are way too close without motion. When you're at this point, you should be pushing into your opponent. What you want to do is be the one creating the reaction. Now your opponent is coming extremely close to get you to react, and you react by going forward into a technique. Very good, very good. I don't think that you really had too much hesitation when you decided to go into this technique. And I think this is what kept you safe in this exchange. Now you're becoming very passive. So to me, it's saying if you don't change it, your opponent's about to score. Now your opponent's kind of losing the pressure too, so it's not helping your opponent. Same thing from that impact. I think you have good arm motion, good movement of your sword. Just understanding the synchronization with the footwork will be the ideal. Shen, welcome to the stream. Thank you for passing by. Let's see what happened here. Give it a second. Again, your opponent is very close. Hold on. Okay, so your opponent is going through a technique at this point. Then engage immediately. I personally would have attacked right at this point, right? And then, but your opponent, you kind of waited for your opponent to start moving before you actually went for a technique. So my suggestion to build up your kendo right now is practice footwork. Practice a small footwork at home in kamae. Try to move forward, back, and then try to put yourself in a situation where you can like move and attack, even if you're at home and just practice this alone, right? Move and attack without letting your opponent know that you're coming, because what's happening right now is that yes, you're moving a lot, trying to find the position where you're going to attack, but then when you find that position there, you stop. So maybe you are applying a little bit of pressure with your upper body, but what's happening is that because you're not moving from that spot, your opponent doesn't feel pressure. So you want to try to find a way to make your opponent nervous, whether it is by closing in before the attack, making them feel less confident by moving aside when they're trying to hit. If you see both of you, your opponent and yourself, you are still, if there's an attack, you dodge the upper body or the hands. You want to put them together. So this is my kendo tip for this video right now. So you're saying that your opponent dodged her head, so you barely touched the target there. You mean the one where, sorry. The one where you went forward, I think it was. I think I lost it, sorry, because you went there. Okay, I'm gonna move forward, but I think I know what you're talking about. But ideally what you want to do, it's just to make it where your opponent has less time to predict that motion. And even better, if you get your opponent to kind of commit to a technique by dropping her sword or by throwing an attack where they shouldn't have. So that way you have an opening, but if you have momentum already, you have the upper hand. I think you're fast, you're strong, and just polishing this will help you unlock the skills that you're looking for, because you have it. In the sense that, you see, you're not, Obviously, there are times when you move your sword lazy, or maybe you move your body lazy because you've been attacking too many times in succession and you haven't learned how to manage your energy. But your intention in the Shiai, I don't see it to be lazy at all. You have good movement, you have good energy. It's just understanding the biomechanics of these movements, I think, is going to help you. Okay. Yeah, I think you had. Listen, one thing that I always look at when I'm looking at Shiai, just to see, especially when somebody, or even for testing, is trying to understand if the opponent really had full control of the match. One thing that I feel that is really good that is happening here is that your opponent doesn't have full control of the match. You still feel confident to try to make your opponent react, right? Those little moments where you stop, those are moments where you're trying to get your opponent to get a reaction. And in this sense, it's a great, what's it called? It's a great indication that you do have confidence during your Shiai. You want to build on this. After that, you want to, well, not after that, but along with that, you want to build up your skills so you can understand how to move better, how to attack more effectively, and then you can unlock all these things together. And one is gonna build up on the other. You want to get more confident. You're gonna get better in your techniques. You're gonna make more confident, so on. So that's the plan, I guess. Great idea. Which part? Sorry, I don't know which part you were referring to. José, el fumikomiyashi puede hacerse de igual forma en cualquier tipo de piso. Okay. Guys, this is a very good question. Let me say it in Spanish real quick. Let me answer in Spanish, but then I'm gonna also give it in English. El fumikomiyashi no es hacer ruido y pegarle duro al piso. El fumikomiyashi te jala hacia adelante. En realidad, sí, el fumikomiyashi se debe hacer igual en todo tipo de piso y la función es que te jale hacia adelante, no golpear el piso hacia abajo. El trabajo de pierna va a ser muy diferente dependiendo de qué tipo de piso estés practicando, porque obviamente no te quieres lastimar. No puedes hacer fumikomiyashi tan fuerte en un piso de concreto, por ejemplo, sin ninguna protección, porque te puedes lastimar, especialmente cuando lo haces mal. El problema es cuando se hace mal. Y en momentos de pelea, en momentos de cuando no estamos midiéndonos, por decir así, vas a tener el chance de lastimarte. Entonces quieres evitar eso a todo costo. Ok, déjame decirlo ahora en inglés. Jose is asking a question about, is fumikomiyashi, should it be done the same in every type of floor? I'm going to say that the concept of fumikomi, yes, you do it the same. Obviously, when you're practicing in a hard floor, for example, you don't do fumikomiyashi. You try to avoid doing fumikomiyashi without protection. Why? Because maybe even if you have the most perfect fumikomi, at the moment of jigeko, at the moment of fight, moment of desperation, let's call it that, we're prone to not do it perfect depending on the position we are and so on. You want to try to protect yourself, whether it is with protection of your feet or doing it in the proper floor. That being said, you have to focus on the purpose of fumikomi, which is to pull you forward rather than hitting down on the ground. And as a matter of fact, you can see techniques without that stomp, but the concept of fumikomi is still there. Kaeshido, I feel, is one of them, especially at the moment of the do. There's not really a stomp on the ground, but there is that pull forward from the forward leg. So, you have to be mindful of these things. That being said, I prefer to practice in like a concrete floor with a heel protector than on rubber or like those tatami mats, like the rubber tatami mats, because I actually got injured in those things. It's not fun. So I think I can manage myself better in concrete. Okay, guys. I hope that answered that question. I don't know if I have any comments that I need to bring up. Now, what I want to do Sorry, I got a little bit of hiccups. What I want to do for this next video, it's from Takanabe actually, but what I wanted to share was this one. This one is from this year's finale for the Open France tournament in the 7-dan category. I think it's a very, very good thing for us to appreciate Kendo outside of Japan. So I think this is a great fight. I think we should watch it and learn from it. So yeah, this is what I wanted to do in this one. Guys, if you haven't, please take a second to hit the like button. It really helps the channel, be pushed out to more people and this stream to get found. Remember that tomorrow I will be doing a stream with a friend of mine who is a sports psychologist. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the link here. I'm gonna drop the link right now. If you could, I'll also leave it at the end, but if you could, make sure you set up a reminder. It's going to be tomorrow, 1 p.m., so about an hour from now, but tomorrow, less than an hour from now. And I'm very excited for this stream. Also, if you would like to help this channel and support Kendo Tips, you can check out the membership site, the membership link, and you can become a member of the stream. It really helps on making sure that I keep bringing these videos and bringing more content to you guys. So I hope you guys at least give it a check and give me your feedback if I should change something in there. Okay, can you guys see the video? Let me see, because I cannot see my screen. Okay, good. Okay, so Sonkyo, again, very, very strong Sonkyo. I would prefer, especially from what we saw in the previous tournament, for them to come up with a little bit more power. Not like just shoot up, but come up a little bit more engaged. And I'm not a fan, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just not a fan of this type of walking at the beginning of the Shiai, or even during the Shiai at all. I feel that the Kenshi on the red had a little bit better movement at the beginning. Oh, I hear when people get in like in the middle of the camera. Amazing continuation of technique. Amazing continuation of technique. Don't hold back, not holding back, going in. And that good impact at the end after the Miss Tsuki. Oh, Jake, sorry, I didn't greet you into the channel. Thank you for passing by. You're waiting for your ride to pick you up for the Federation Team tryouts. That was stopping for the stream and great way to spend time. Thank you very much for passing by. I hope, somebody say, as a matter of fact, do your best. Gambate. And yeah, let us know how it went. So, I know just recently we were talking about that movement before, or that pressure before the attack. And maybe ours, this is kind of what you were trying to do during your Shiai. And I feel Red right now is doing it effectively. You see, he's finding his position. He's finding his position of, what's it called? Let's call it position of comfort. But after landing in that position, he is using his upper body to do pressure, to give pressure. The difference, though, that he's doing it, and I think he's making it effective, is that he is engaged in the back foot. You can see that he is ready to just shoot, and it's in a distance where you will be like, is it going to be close enough or not? So it makes the other side be hesitant on coming in. You see, they're both kind of like just re-engage that pressure. White White threw in a little bit of pressure. Watch. There's like a little bit of a pause. I think this pause went a little bit too long. But then white decides to come forward. Red decides to immediately take a step to do a technique. So I adjusted the stepping to go forward. I think that, it was a very dangerous moment. I think white had kind of the upper hand in there. But that being said, I think that the approach from red is really good. Jake, you're saying you're at the soup down level, so it could go really well or really poorly. Learning experience either way. Just hope that don't embarrass yourself too much. Go in with confidence. Throw everything you have. Don't leave anything behind. You'll be good. And let us know how it went. So do your best. Gambare. Okay. Unfortunately, I know the result of this fight, but I'm going to say why maybe I think the result was the way it was. White is considerably taller than red. And at this point, they're in a distance where I feel that the advantage to attack from zero comes from white. If white decides to go, I think there are more chances for red to be stroked than if red decides to go forward. That being said, I don't think at this level either of them could just go, right? That's why they're kind of like in this standstill. Why? Because by the time that one moves, it will be really easy for the other person to kind of adjust the distance, make the miss, and then counter. So this is kind of what makes it hard for them to just go right now. I feel red, though, it's a little bit disengaged in the sense that his legs are a little bit too far apart for applying extra pressure and then going. Jake, do your best. Guys, I can tell, and most likely, like maybe I'm assuming, but I think that these two gentlemen are friends. So this is a very, very nice thing to see, right? Like they're caring for each other, even during the fight. But that being said, don't disengage like this, right? Even if it's a friend or not, it is just not a good habit to create, I think. So if you need to have this happen, granted, they don't need to create their habits. They have their habits. I'm saying for us, step back and raise your hand or whatever you need to do if you need the fight to stop. But disengaging like this could put you in a very bad situation against somebody that you may not know. Okay, so that's why I'm saying don't put that habit. Guys, if you want the link for this specific video, I'll put it here on the chat. Wow. Guys, we have to break this down. I really like the approach that red gave at this moment. So again, he's trying to put that pressure with the upper body, right? Hold on, I'm just gonna put a slow motion. White readjusts the distance. Red, he's changing the timing. He's changing the timing of the striking by throwing a technique from very far where it's not going to be kind of like what I was talking about earlier before, that throwaway technique. He's using fast footwork to make sure that after a technique, he's ready to go for the next one. So every time that he's engaging into a technique, he's using pretty much footwork that you would use for kotemen. It is very important that as you approach somebody, especially when you miss, that you re-engage your footwork so you have the opportunity to throw another attack. Be in balance to go forward. Let's see. I think the use of footwork in this moment, it's pristine. If you watch, one step immediately brings the back foot forward. Another step, and the back foot is pretty much coming in forward before the right footwork lands. When he goes forward for the long reach, same thing. Pristine. If you're practicing your Rensoku Wasa, you want to ensure that you are if you're practicing your Rensoku Wasa, you want to make sure that you are bringing the back leg fast and sharp and be able to have the opportunity to be in full balance and full control of your body before you throw the next technique, just like you see here. It wasn't an Ippon, but definitely got him thinking, he almost got me. Now I have to wake up. I was going to say this before. You notice in the exchanges before where he does this whole thing with the. Wait, hold on. Right here. You're gonna see it here. I was going to say that I think the first technique is going to be kote, because plenty of the times when red is approaching, he's approaching with this type of motion, pulling back the right hand. So that being said, I didn't say it before, so was this the Ippon? Oh no, the Ippon comes here. So I think at this point, let's see. At this point, I think it was a matter of having the information stored rather than causing the scenario, right? He is causing the scenario because he has to have pressure to make him come in as well, right? But at this point, he's kind of ready for the technique because he's doing the same thing in every attack that he has done. Ars, you have the chance to go to a seminar hosted by Lebrew Sensei. He's very technical, has one of the cleanest kendo you ever seen. You learn from him. He has really good kendo. I think what messed him up here was the fact that White kind of caught his pattern. He was coming with this pattern. And I understand where this pattern is coming from. His opponent is considerably taller than him, so he has to do something. You got to remember, as when you're fighting somebody that's taller than you, you have the feeling that you have to come in order to get the point, right? So if you come in recklessly, what's going to happen is that your opponent can find an opening and attack and hit you, right? Kind of a little bit what happened in this situation. But being shorter also has an advantage, and it's the fact that you can also learn to control, how do I say this? You can control the timing of the approach. So a lot of times you have to understand what mindset your opponent has, but because maybe your opponent feels confident that you're the one that has to come in, a lot of times they end up being reactive. So you have to play a little bit with this. I don't think there is an advantage or disadvantage on being taller or shorter, because there is just how you approach your opponent. It's the biggest thing. If you are the tallest person and you're coming in from a very far distance, somebody that's shorter could see it, could be an attack from a very far distance can be very predictable, and somebody who's short might be able to adapt to the distance and then hit without having to go forward so much. So it's just about how you approach your opponent and the timing. Now, the danger in this situation where he's 1 point behind is that now, being the shorter person, he has to be the one coming in forward to create opportunity for the point. White can kind of relax a little bit more in the sense that he doesn't have to come in for a point. A good technique, I feel that, especially if you're shorter than your opponent, is to get the opponent desperate to come in and make them feel confident with their height to attack from far. But of course, that's easier said than done. So let me know if you find out how to do that consistently. Okay. Oh, sorry, let me catch up with discipline. You said why just needed to step forward instead of stepping back, not using his height effectively. I mean, there are 7 dans, man. So they are, they know a couple of things or two. I only say this is because we also have to take in consideration the context. It's easy for us to say, oh, at this moment he didn't do it right. But he has to deal with the average of the situation. He has to deal with the whole time. And a lot of times, some of these things might be, how can I make my opponent feel confident to come in? So maybe the reason why I say they know a couple of things or two that maybe we don't know is because we don't know what's going on in their head. And I don't think it's fair to just judge the mistakes by one specific instant, because again, we don't know what's happening. We don't know if they're doing that on purpose either. So this is the problem that normally I have with people, even myself. When I say people, I include myself, copying what we see online, because a lot of times we try to copy it without context. And I try to understand. I say try because I know I'm not perfect. I try to understand not only what's happening at that moment, but before and after. I think it's very important to try to put it all together into context. Even though the white is ahead, he's not holding back, right? He's not being passive in the sense of holding back with his distance. Of course, he's picking the right moment, but he's not being reckless he's not being completely passive by just standing still or always going back. Oh, very nice. Okay. We talk about tame, right? About being able to hold that intention or that energy back. And in my interpretation of tame, or my understanding of tame, tame is not just standing still. And I think it kind of connects to what I was talking about on standing still, trying to get a reaction from the opponent. Tame is not just standing still. Tame is kind of just holding the reins on the horse, but not making it stop completely. And this does a couple of things just physically. I'm not going to even talk mentally, but just physically, is that it starts changing the timing. So it allows, in this case, for white to approach his opponent at one speed, but then engage the technique at another. Watch. It allows them to also understand when the right opportunity is for the attack. If he would have wanted to, if let's say he felt that there was an opening because his opponent's sword went down and he felt like he had the opportunity to go forward. But right until this point, if he decided to change his mind and not go, he could have done that. It's not only until this moment where he actually decides to shoot for the technique that he passes that point of no return. So Tame allows you to have control of that as well. That's what I'm saying. Jose, dame un segundo. Déjame. Okay. Guys, let me read the Spanish comments. Acá mostró gran energía en sus fintas, pero lo que Blanco quedó confundido y expuesto, por lo que no vi la intención de defenderse o bloquear más que caminar hacia atrás. Okay. No lo vería como una finta, más como que él trató de causar un cambio en la dinámica, en el ritmo de la pelea para poder lanzar su técnica al momento de la apertura. Pero estás diciendo que él quedó expuesto en este momento, después de este momento de la técnica. No estoy seguro, porque acuérdate que si Rojo baja la espada, queda también expuesto él. Entonces están en un momento de tensión ambos. So guys, what he's saying in this case, and what I just said, is that he showed like a great energy here, but at this point maybe he just didn't have an opportunity to block or anything. All he did was to go backwards. But I'm just reminding him that at this point, Red also has the sword on him. So if Red takes the sword out to try to do a technique, White is in prime position to hit again. So, and if White just, goes back without this, then Red also has the advantage. Ours, a bit of topic. You're going for Shodan and Among. What should you focus on for the time being? You are in the Discord server. I have a resource tab, and I have a testing guide in there. But for Shodan, and this is something I've been meaning to do a video about. But for Shodan, you want to understand how to proper distance for your technique, good impact, good ki, and a good follow through. You want to come in with a good follow through. Don't just randomly throw techniques like a Senkakari Geiko. You should also try to understand when is the right moment to attack. So the most basics, and this is what is shared in that guide, is when the opponent is starting to move forward or when the opponent is going back. So pretty much catching them mid-motion. You don't have to show seme. You don't have to show all this high-level concept into your technique. You just have to show that you can strike and you know when to strike. So everything that I said at the beginning has to do with how to strike. Make sure that you have good posture, make sure you have the good distance, right impact, and so on. And then the second part has to do with when you strike. So again, I'm sorry I haven't had the time to make a video about this specifically, but I kind of just summarized it there. In the Discord server, we have that guide that I think is very useful. José, en este caso, Blanco aprovechó la impetu del rojo para recibirlo con un de Banagote. Estás hablando de el golpe anterior. Ok. Yo creo que estás un poco atrás en cuanto al tiempo en el que estás viendo el video y lo que estoy hablando. Entonces, disculpa que hay una poca sincronización. Discipline. White went for the man too early. White should have rode the Shinai until Nakayui meet Red and still had control of his Shinai. To do Yota Sandman. Okay. Again, I don't know what you mean about riding. If you're talking about this opportunity, I don't understand what you mean about riding the Shinai, because there's no contact here, right? So I think I don't know if I agree with what you're saying, because again, like the way they're coming in, it's not as clean as you're describing it here. and it's because of the situation they're in. So please explain that. Red is coming with a lot of energy. Red is coming with a lot of energy. I like it. Discipline. I disagree with you because Red dropped his Shinai, so he couldn't, like, I don't think it makes sense to bring the Shinai down. And besides, he made contact, he just wasn't deep enough to be a valid contact. Oh, guys, this is a very, very, very cool show of a deflection keeping the center. Okay, I think this is a very pristine way of showing how to keep yourself safe while also keeping your intention towards the opponent. If you look at this moment right here, his opponent, White, blocks the Shinai, right? He catches the opponent's Shinai, but he's not blocking back. If you look, he's starting to move the feet and the hands together, keeping the edge of the sword towards the opponent, adjusting immediately to try to keep the center towards the opponent. And of course, when they come in too close where they're off the technique, maybe he disengages. I would have loved to see maybe motion of the body to try to do like a hikimen at that point. I understand that this is extremely hard depending on the motion, but what I'm saying is that the way that he's receiving, he's putting himself in such a good position to open doors to do other techniques. Many times when I see people block, they just block up here and back here, and it makes it where it's hard for them to do anything else but just try to readjust the distance or just closing the distance in order to not get hit. So I think that this is very, very good habit. Something that I think all of us could benefit from is to try to keep the intention towards our opponent with the ability to be able to do another technique or to do a technique if the opportunity is there. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Okay. Shannon, I'll catch up with the comments in a second. He did a little bit of the same block on this one, right? Really enjoy this process that White is trying to do of coming in and bring the pressure forward and keeping the back leg engaged. Red has this ability to change his time. Red has a really good ability to change his the direction of his strikes, and he has very good control of his footwork to provide him timing. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to develop this further in order to make an opening. And I think that Red lost this Ippon out of habits. So I think it's a good guidance for us to start looking into our own Kendo. I think from the fights that we've seen today and analyzing and trying to understand how to approach your opponent, my main thing or my main focus lately is to be able to have that type of footwork that Red is showing right now, where you can come in sharply and quickly and you can readjust to do another technique or to do another step to approach your opponent. That being said, it takes a lot of practice with a lot of different people so you can understand timing and people's habits. A lot of the times, one of the things, especially for higher level in testing, And Ars, you were talking about Shodan testing. So for Shodan testing, you don't need to make the opening. You can still score by taking advantage when the opening is there, whether it is because of something you did or whether it is because of your opponent made a mistake. But as you go up in level, you're looking to make the person move. You're looking to make the person make the mistake. That being said, you never neglect or you never forget your ability to take that point when the opponent gives you that opening. So I think in Shia you're being evaluated, and in Shia you're being evaluated just by which opportunity you can take to take the point. But in testing, you're also being evaluated onto, especially the higher ranks, what can you do to make the person give you that opening? In other words, controlling the fight. So, Sean, let me catch up a little bit what you said. Tame is hard. You tried your semi by eye last night, and then hold off your strike by keeping your shinai down while your body is moving forward. But opponents show no reaction to your semi, but then hit you with the men. So yeah, and so tame it's a hard concept, because how can you really hold back and then not really have, and have motion at the same time? It's a hard concept to explain, and I think the best way for me is kind of like analogies, right? And we were talking about last week where that moment where people are at a stop sign, you're putting the brakes, but you don't want to fully stop. Like, this is not legal, right? You should stop completely. But when you see people coming in, because I don't do this, you see people kind of rolling into the stop, they're not fully stopping before they go forward. Kind of this feeling, I think it's similar to this feeling. So you want to maybe try to develop this, and as you move forward, like for example, we saw in this fight plenty of time when White was trying to come in forward, right? Like this little steps forward. Many times when people do this, they put all the weight in the front leg and then they disengage completely the back leg, right? And what this does is that it puts you in a bad situation because you cannot really have power to attack. So you want to always keep in mind that your back leg is going to be your power. And sometimes when you go too far deep with your front leg, your back leg won't be able to help you at all. So these things to keep in mind in order to keep improving your kendo. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go back to Spanish. José, Blanco se mantuvo firme, no solo física, sino mentalmente, porque hizo un buen corte limpio. Sí, tuvo muy buena postura, muy buen trabajo de piernas, y es la clave para poder hacer un ataque fuerte, rápido y consistente. Okay, guys. Let me just one more time, please. I'm gonna ask you, everybody, that tomorrow I have a stream with a friend of mine who is a sports psychologist. I'm gonna leave. Wait. We have some questions. Let me see how this questions worked. Okay, I didn't get any questions here, so never mind. Let me say this. Tomorrow I have the stream with a friend of mine who is a sports psychologist. What I'm going to do is, before I log out, I'm going to leave the link so you can please go there, hit the like button, share this with as many people as you can. I would like to have a good turnout because I think there's going to be a lot of good information. The plan is that we're going to do it short and sweet, and saying we're not going to go too long because I know we can go for like 4 or 5 hours. So I'm going to try to also respect her time. So we're going to leave it to like about an hour and a half. We're going to go directly talking about the 4 sicknesses in Kendo. How can we approach them from a sports psychology side, for a sports psychology point of view? And what can we do in order to avoid having these during our Shiai, Jigeiko, or Shinsa? And what can we do in order to improve our confidence for our competition, so we can perform better? And also we kind of want to talk a little bit about how sports psychology kind of connects to everything else. So please, if you could, I'm gonna leave the link right now. If you could do that, I will appreciate that. The link is on the comments. And thank you very much, everybody, for passing by. I'm gonna cut off the stream for today, just to make sure that you guys have a good time for practice. I need to go to practice as well. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I am very excited to have you here all the time because you guys keep me motivated to keep me practicing and to keep me going. So thank you very much for being here. Charlem Chai, thank you very much for passing by. Welcome to the stream. I haven't seen you here before, so thank you very much for passing by. Ars, thank you very much for sharing your video and passing by for the stream. Again, if anybody would like to send me a video, I think the easiest way to do it is through the Discord server. The link should be popping up in a second. Yes, right there. And let me know if I can help you with anything else, okay? Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you guys get good practices this week and hope to see you tomorrow in my live stream. Thank you very much. José, muchas gracias también por pasar por acá. Mañana voy a tener otro stream, así que bienvenido si quieres pasar. Hasta luego. Bye.